Hi everybody, welcome to Thinkific's Transitioning to Remote Learning session. I'm Nova. I am a Customer Success Manager with Thinkific. I've been with Thinkific for about 6 months now. My background is specifically in instructional design, so I've worked with many companies helping them transition to online learning and eventually made the switch to Thinkific to help tons of course creators move to online learning as well. I am located on Vancouver Island and I am Canadian. So let's just jump into what we'll be covering today. So today we'll be providing a general overview of Thinkific. We're going to be talking about the e-learning industry as a whole. We're going to talk about the benefits of transitioning to online learning, how exactly you can move to online learning, and then some of the key features of the Thinkific Plus. So let's start with Thinkific. What is Thinkific? Truly, it's an online LMS. To date, we've helped 50,000 course creators worldwide create, market, and sell courses. And together, they've earned around $650 million in revenue, which is pretty amazing. Now to talk about the e-learning industry as a whole. So there's a big shift we're seeing here, and here's just some of the statistics to show how much online learning is projected to grow. So currently it's sitting at around $13 billion industry a year, and it's projected to go up by $25 billion in 2025, which is pretty incredible growth. When we look at blended learning, which is a combination of e-learning with traditional classroom methods, it's something that we call in the industry a hybrid teaching model. Blending learning segments hold the highest compound annual growth rate during the forecasted period of 2002 to 2025 compared to in-person learning or instructor-led learning. And this remains true when we look at both Canada and the US specifically. Blended learning is expected to grow at the fastest rate, which, as you can see, opens up a large opportunity here for new course creators to jump in. So now let's talk about some of the key benefits of online learning now that we know how much it's projected to grow. So there are multiple options when we talk about online learning, and there's a few things that you can accomplish with this. So you can have customer training, employee education, partner training, revenue generation, and lead generation all through online learning. However, for the purpose of this presentation, I really focus on how you can use online education to support your students and how you can really make the transition of taking that course and putting it online. So the main benefit here, and I think that it's something as an instructional designer that I found really great with Thinkific and being online, is you're able to standardize that learning process. So all your content is in one place. There's no more jumping through PDFs and sending, students here and there and whatever. Everything's really standardized. You can release lessons so they're paced and so students aren't jumping ahead, and you can make sure they're not falling behind as well. You can make changes and updates to your content with ease without having to make sure that you're sending out all that update to students. And you're really making sure that students are all getting the same kind of experience, and ultimately it's really going to save you time. When it comes to supporting students remotely, this is something that I think is a huge benefit of being online. So learning can be self-driven and self-paced. You can drive engagement a little bit better, and more importantly, you can really support your students through accessibility, meaning that you can offer them videos along with text. So it's not stagnant to just one specific learning type. You're really supporting your students and the various learning types that there could be. As well, you can track student progress and have advanced reporting. So not only can you see how a student is progressing for a course, but you can also see how they are engaging with your content. Are they dropping off on specific videos? Are they skipping things? Are they not doing well on quizzes as a whole? You can really monitor that and look at the student progress and reporting to get a more holistic understanding of how your students are actually doing, which I think is a really powerful thing as a teacher to be able to see, is it one student struggling or is it many? How can we change this? What can we do to be a little bit different? And I think that's one of the really great things of online learning. Now, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the National Institute for Crime Prevention. It's a pretty amazing story. They were able to transition about 64 hours worth of in-person training to online in just over a month. Traditionally, all their training before this was done in person, but with COVID-19, as we know, the world changed and the needs of training and learning also changed with that. So this is just an example of a really great company that we've worked with here at Thinkific who are able to make a change and saw positive growth with it too. If you want to learn more about this case study, you can visit our website at thinkific.com and you could read more about how they were able to make this transition and be so successful. Now let's talk about a little bit about transitioning to online course environment, how you can actually make that switch. I know a lot of the times it can seem scary when you've had all your content kind of tangible in front of you, but I promise you it's not. So let's just kind of talk about the steps that you can go through when you're making this transition. So I think number one is really choosing the right LMS. You're going to want to choose something that is going to work for you, that is going to be scalable for you, and ultimately reduce that admin backend on your side. So I have around 6 tips for choosing an LMS that I'm going to share with you. So the number one is you really want to get buy-in from your stakeholders. You want to determine which stakeholders will be using the LMS, who will be creating data, who will be analyzing student data, and you really want to make sure that they're involved to determine their pain points, needs, and overall goals. So you could ask your stakeholders, in a meeting or in a survey, how they imagine on using the LMS in their daily workflow. Are there certain functionalities they are going to rely on to complete the work? What kind of data reporting are they looking to see? And so forth. You really want to get an understanding of how everybody in your organization or in your school is going to use this LMS to make sure that you're picking one that's going to hit all the marks for you. Next, you want to determine what features and technical requirements are needed. So based on those conversations you had with your stakeholders, I recommend creating a list of features and technical requirements that you're going to need in your LMS, and then consider ranking them of what is a must-have and what is a nice-to-have, because that can allow you to easily weigh your options when you're looking at different features of an LMS. Kind of a pro tip from me is when you're researching an LMS, visit all their feature pages, as it'll give you a good idea of what's included with specific plans. And it'll kind of help you narrow down, what's important to your stakeholders and which LMSs are going to offer that. Next, moving on from that, you're going to want to research the process. So do a search of e-learning platforms. I recommend consulting third-party review sites. I think you're going to get a really unbiased opinion when you go to those sites. Something like G2 or Trustpilot will provide you user feedback, and you can determine what platforms will meet your needs and initial requirements. Next, you want to speak to the team and then request a demo of the software. I think it's really important to make sure that once you figure out that it will hit all your marks, that you're actually getting to try out the product and getting to see what it looks like. From there, I always recommend requesting a free trial. You can try uploading things, making a course, because I think getting in there and getting your hands into a software really gives you the best idea of how it's going to function, and maybe things that are important to you that you didn't necessarily think of, you may be able to do or may not be able to do once you get in there and you start uploading content and trying out free trial. After you've kind of tested the platforms and you've consulted your stakeholders, you can provide a final decision to your decision makers, and then you can provide concrete examples based on all the research you've done of why this is truly the best LMS, which always helps the business case. So let's talk a little bit about who Thinkific Plus is really for, and we'll talk a little bit about, the things that you can do with Thinkific. So Thinkific Plus is really designed for enterprises and entrepreneurs. We want to be able to make sure that you're growing with your students at scale, and Plus really gives you the ability to do that. So when it comes to Plus, it's not really your average LMS. You get to meet with a customer success manager, such as myself, who will help you make the transition to Thinkific. We'll talk about strategy. We'll talk about what's important to you, what's important to your students. We'll help you learn the platform and understand it to make sure that you're providing the best student experience for your users. So Plus really hosts everything that you need when it comes to educating students, and it can really help you grow. So what you really get here is you're going to get so many different types of content and support here. So you're going to be able to host videos, you're going to be able to have advanced security, email white labeling, course specific branding. You can use single sign-on if that's something too important for you. You can get different integrations, and I think most importantly, you're going to get someone who's going to be able to help you guide you through this process to make sure that you're prepared and you're ready for launch so your students have the most successful experience and there's no kind of blockers. So when it comes to choosing the best format for learning, it depends on where your students are in the learning journey, and there's a bunch of content that we can talk about that can help you make this more of a holistic journey. So I think the biggest thing is let's focus on learning formats. So when it comes to kind of online learning, you're going to get self-paced online lessons. So you can have pre-recorded sessions that you can deliver to your students, which can help reduce time if you are presenting the same content to many students all at once. Or if somebody missed a lesson, they can go back and they can read that content. You can also schedule in-person classes through Thinkific. So you can use our live lessons in which you actually host a live course with your students, which I think is a really amazing tool. You can also drip this content so it releases on a specific day. So you can make sure that all your students are coming together. And then it comes to blended learning, there's a lot we can do here in terms of putting all those things together. You can really take advantage of multiple learning styles, lesson types, and really make sure that your students are getting the most out of the content that you're providing them with. So now let's talk about a little bit of how you can structure your course. So you always want to start your course, with an introduction message that sets expectations to your students and let them know what they can expect from the LMS and from the course itself. Next, you have chapters, which are sections of the course that contain one sub-learning outcome each. The number of chapters will ultimately depend on the course and the desired outcome for students. From after chapters, within each chapter, you can have lesson types, and lessons are part of your chapter and help your students achieve a sub-outcome of the chapter. So you could have as many lessons as needed to achieve the outcome you're wanting for your students, including both lessons that teach the why and how of a topic, as well as looking at, can students apply the learning once it's done? So you can create things like quizzes, surveys, and assignments to make sure that they are applying what they've learned right away. And then after that, we always want to have a conclusion. It just wraps up the learning objectives and then provides students with next steps if they're registering into a new course or if they're claiming a certificate. To help you kind of bring all your materials online, I know it sounds scary, but I promise you it's a lot easier than it is. Within Thinkific, there's a multitude of lesson types. There's videos, quizzes, multimedia lessons, which you can embed any web link. There's text lessons, surveys, PDFs, which really gives you a holistic environment and something that's going to be accessible to all learner types. As well, you get a dedicated customer success manager, myself, or somebody amazing on my team. And we're really here to help you through the process of Thinkific Plus and how to make sure that you're getting your content online and how making sure that student experience is succinct and it's where it needs to be. So things that your CSM can help with are, course launching, onboarding, and tracking. We can remove technical roadblocks for you. I think the biggest thing that I get from my clients is we talk a lot about the theoretical strategy. How does a student start by coming into the platform, and then how do they end up learning everything they need to in a holistic way. So we'll talk about how students come in, how they sign in, how they ask for help. We'll really guide you through everything that you might not think about when transitioning to online. And I think that's the power of a CSM. Because we've worked with so many different course creators in so many different industries, we can really provide best practices and recommendations on what's going to be most important to you and what's going to be the best experience for your students. Here's just a quick quote about one of our amazing CSMs, Purnima. I have to say she is pretty amazing, and she helped IntelliCare here get all set up. So now let's talk a little bit about the key features of Thinkific Plus and how it's a little bit different than some of the other plans we offer. So pretty much the main thing is you're going to get access to groups, which I think is really important if you're working with students that maybe are in different classes, different stages of learning, whatever it may be. You can segment those users into groups so they have specific packages, and you can track a specific cohort to see how they're progressing. As well, you can also offer a group analyst role along with groups, and groups analysts can go in and look at how a student is doing in a specific course, and they can also track user progress, which is great if you're working with some third parties that need to have insight into how your students are doing through your course. As well, you're going to get access to advanced reporting here. So we'll show you revenue reports, order reports, enrollment, student engagement to really give you an idea of how students are interacting with your material. So we'll look at, are they a new student, new to your platform, or are they an existing student who have then signed up for multiple courses? So you'll really get an idea here of how students are moving, and it'll give you insight into reporting on your site. Video engagement reporting, I think, is something that is really great in an LMS because it allows students to learn visually, and I think videos are a really powerful tool, but this reporting will also give you insight into the average engagement, the play rate, how many times it's been loaded, how many times the video has been played, which I think is really valuable if you're looking at how your content is resonating with your students. And another thing with Thinkific Plus is advanced security, which I think is amazing, for any school. So you'll get a service level agreement of 99.5% uptime. We'll also offer 24/7 monitoring to ensure your site is always up and running. And we we're compliant with available privacy legislations. If you'd like to know more about our advanced security, you can check out our website as well. I want to talk a little bit about the Thinkific App Store, which you'll have availability to with Thinkific Plus. So the App Store is a really great way to enhance your Thinkific site. You can plug in different apps to your site that will give you out-of-the-box experience than true Thinkific. So something like Beast Notes is a really great example for students. It allows students to take notes within the Thinkific course player, which allows students to make sure they're writing down information, but that they're also not leaving the platform and getting distracted with other content. Ding is also a really great app that we have, which offers personalized notifications to each student. So a little pop-up can come up and remind them of something that's upcoming, or if they've done really well in a quiz, you can sprinkle confetti on their course player. There's really no limit when it comes to student engagement and the different ways that you can engage students with not only Thinkific, but the addition of the Thinkific apps. With that being said, I think we'll be able to provide you support and best practices and offer advice and resources of how you can migrate existing students and course content over to a new platform. And as your CSM, we'll really work with you build a timeline for launching your new platform. Making the switch to Thinkific doesn't mean to be a barrier when assessing a new software. So don't get scared that you're on one software now, maybe it's not working for you, but you want to make the switch. We at Thinkific can help you along that journey and really make sure that it's an easy process for you. So if you're interested in getting started on Thinkific Plus, please book a call with our solutions team. You can visit our website as well. We're always happy to kind of chat and see how we can best support and best fit into your learning environment. Thank you all so much for listening today. If you have any questions, feel free to visit our website and we'll be happy to help. Thanks.